Okay, so deflation. Bear with me. I have no notes. I haven't spent any time thinking about this before recording. I know you ask, why would I do such a stupid thing? Well, it's time. Time is my problem. I have zero time. But I know deflation quite well, so I think I can speak to this off the top of my head. So, first, what is deflation? Deflation is falling prices. Sorry, I just said that totally. I said the opposite of what I intended to say. Deflation is not falling prices. So there's deflation, there's falling prices, two different economic effects. Let me first discuss falling prices. Falling prices, which is never, ever, ever a problem in any way and never could be, it results from increased production. So if you have a finite quantity of money and spending in the economy, as you produce more goods and services, the unit price of each good and service will fall. Prices will get prices will go lower inversely to the increase in the supply of those goods and services. So, therefore, falling prices is what we want. We want everything to become cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, which it would do if the government did not print money. And every government in every country does this. They have a monopoly government printing press. They print money. That's the only explanation for inflation. There is no other, unless fewer goods and services are being created, which they're usually not. Venezuela, maybe. Other countries, no. So falling prices are good and wonderful. That's what we want. Can never cause any problem whatsoever, including it is said that as prices fall, people won't spend. Well, of course they will. They still need to buy stuff. They still need milk. They still need breakfast. They still need automobiles. Of course they're going to spend. But more importantly, it's not spending that grows an economy, it's savings. It's not spending that grows the economy. All the factories, tools, technology that businesses use, all of the office buildings, all of the wages paid to employees, all of that is financed by capital, by savings, by money people did not consume. So consumption does not help an economy. It does not spur production. You can only produce as much as you can based on the amount of capital that you have. Capital comes from savings. So, where do I want to go from here? So let me discuss deflation now. What is deflation? Deflation is a collapse of the money supply. So banks are leveraged. Banks hold only a fraction of the money they have lent out. Most money in banks are loaned out, and they keep only a little in reserve. That's the reserve requirement based on central bank dictates. So the reason that we had the 1929 uh, market crash and depression, well, the depression was man-made. I don't want to say that. The reason there was a problem to begin with, the reason prices fell in the economy was because the money supply collapsed. A lot of Because of the way the Federal Reserve manipulated the quantity and the price of money, i.e., the interest rate, it caused first a boom, and then it tried to undo that boom, and it caused a bust. So it expanded the quantity of money, then it contracted it way too much, way too fast. And so money was created, pushed out into the economy, pushed prices higher, and then the reverse did the opposite. It caused prices to fall. That alone can be considered deflation, I suppose, but the main effect of deflation is what happened in addition to that, which is because of these economic changes that I just mentioned, many people who were relying on a growing economy with a lot of spending and low interest rates, when that reversed, well, people stopped spending. People couldn't pay back loans. Interest rates were higher. So loans went bad. Banks were not repaid loans. And this is always how a recession, depression starts. Bank loans go bad. The bank can't be paid it back all the money it has. And with only a tiny amount of capital in reserves to pay depositors, the bank runs out of that reserve and cannot pay depositors. So you get a run on banks where people understand what's going on. They start going to the bank. They demand their money, but the bank doesn't have it. The bank has loaned it out. You think your money is in the bank. It's not. And so that causes the bank to collapse. What it owes is greater than what it has. So the bank collapses, and that in turn causes other banks to collapse because of loans that are, I don't want to go into the details, but I think you can imagine how everything's connected in the economy. And one bank going bad causes other economic problems that causes other bank loans at other banks to go bad, et cetera, et cetera. That's why you usually have numerous banks that go bad at any given time during recessions or depressions. So it is that collapse in the money supply, collapse in the collapse of the banks. When a bank goes bust, that money no longer exists. The money that was in someone's account supporting a loan no longer exists. It goes out of existence, just evaporates. So the money supply literally disappears. It collapses because a lot of it is disappearing. And so that's the explanation for the contraction of the money supply. That is deflation. That's the feared thing that everyone is concerned about with deflation. But again, that's a banking and monetary and central bank issue, totally different from prices falling because businesses are producing. So you have to separate the two. Falling prices accompany deflation. That's the point of confusion. But falling prices from deflation is a totally different thing from falling prices from production. And usually the falling prices from deflation are way faster and more sudden than the slow, steady falling prices from production. So the problem is the banking system and the central bank, and it's all a completely rigged system. So the lesson here is to distinguish that from prices that fall from production. If we had a sane banking system, if the money were real, if it couldn't just disappear and go out of existence because it was just keyed in on a computer board not long prior, then you could never have the quantity of money collapse, and you could never have banks go bust. I mean, you could have some go out of business or whatever, but the money supply would not collapse, would not even decrease, because the money would still exist. Someone would have it somewhere. And so if you had that, if you had a finite quantity of money that can't just go out of existence, as the economy is producing more goods and services, you would just have prices slowly falling every year. And that harms no one. It's only a good thing. It doesn't result in any bad economic effect, no recessions, no depressions. So that's it. That is the lesson. We need to learn what deflation is and quit pretending that it's just something that is related to production and falling prices. And of course, the main lesson here is change the freaking banking system and make it more secure and less tenuous. Okay, thanks very much. See you next time.